Nestled deep in the Rocky Mountains of the American West is a place unlike anywhere else on the planet. Yellowstone National Park. Wild and remote, Yellowstone is one of our greatest treasures. A landscape so iconic, millions of people make the journey each year just to see its incredible beauty. But its true nature can't be seen from the roads. It takes a dedicated exploration into the park's wildest corners to witness and record its untamed nature. For years, we have been uncovering a hidden Yellowstone to record what truly makes this one of the most unique ecosystems on Earth. Join us for a multi-season exploration through the park. We'll journey deep into Yellowstone's interior, one of the harshest and most dynamic landscapes on the planet. We'll reveal a Yellowstone as poetic as it is wild, as thrilling as it is vulnerable. This is Yellowstone Journals. Summers in Yellowstone are a time of warmth and light. More than any other season, summer brings an abundance of life to the park. Birdsong fills the dry air. The wind is thick with pollen and the smell of flowering plants. More than 700 grizzly bears call the Yellowstone ecosystem home. Oftentimes, they spend their lazy afternoons foraging for bugs, berries, and digging for roots. Although the snow has just melted, and he must fatten up for the next long sleep, these early days of summer allow him time to sit and relax among the flowers. Although he may look calm and harmless, he can be deadly if threatened or provoked. At around 700 pounds, one of Yellowstone's largest residents is dependent on its smallest. Insects provide necessary pollination for plants and are an important food source for nearly every species throughout the park. Every midsummer, salmon flies cloud the shoreline. This resilient and colorful invertebrate emerges from the water after 3 years in the nymph stage. Evidence of this metamorphosis is littered on the rocks along the river. Salmon flies can measure up to 3 inches and seek out their mate on rocks and trees nearby. Females deposit their eggs on the water. Their size and weight causes erratic flight, making them easy prey and a critical food source for aquatic life in Yellowstone. Just downriver, a curious coyote searches the sagebrush-lined valley for an easy meal. Along the coyote's path, a herd of elk are coming down from the hills to graze in the green valley below. This curious coyote is no match for a protective mother. These elk could kill him with a swift kick. What was once a possible meal has now turned into a run for his life. The coyote has successfully eluded the elk and must now look elsewhere for a meal. There are around 6,000 elk that call Yellowstone home. In the summer months, herds of females raise their calves on the grasslands and hillsides. Because elk typically have only 1 calf per year, feeding and protecting their young is the main focus of the herd. Elk are most active in the morning and evening, while resting when the sun is high. They graze throughout the day while keeping a watchful eye on the surroundings. They must be careful, as much more formidable foes than a coyote are always a threat. One of those threats is the grizzly. Our grizzly has his own way of seeking relief from the hot sun by taking a cool dip in the river. High mountain runoff keeps this river cool, even during the hot summer months. A Canadian goose joins our grizzly in the summer fun. Once again, our coyote wanders the landscape in search of a meal. Nearby, a sandhill crane tends to her nest. She stands nearly 4 feet tall, with a wingspan of 6.5 feet. The coyote's patience will be helpful here. Just like with the elk herd, our coyote is slow to learn about mothers and their offspring. Maybe he'll have better luck elsewhere. After a nice long swim, our grizzly has built up a bear-sized appetite. At 2,100 times better than a human's, their sense of smell is widely known to be one of the best on the planet. Something is in the air. While plants and moths will do the job, meat is always a preferred meal. The elk herd is grazing in the afternoon sun, presenting an opportunity. A calf, small and vulnerable. If only he can separate it from the herd. The elk scatter. Then, just as quickly, they reform, trying to keep the babies in the center. Amid the chase, one calf gets separated. Once the herd has gained ground, two larger elk take a more offensive approach and draw the attention of the grizzly, allowing the slower ones in the group to escape. The calf is now alone, but her instincts take over and she does the only thing she knows, hiding amongst the tall grass and sagebrush. The grizzly, now tired from the chase, searches and sniffs for the scent of the young straggler. The little calf must stay hidden to survive this threat. Having been separated from the herd, the elk calf's instincts tell her to lie motionless in the meadow. The grizzly continues his search. Any movement from the calf will alert the bear to her location. Although the bear has a keen sense of smell, a baby elk has almost no scent. Our meandering coyote has found yet another opportunity. A ground squirrel suns himself on a log. Not fast enough. This hollow log should provide a safe haven until the coyote moves along. This is what determination looks like. As he whittles away on the log, the ground squirrel loses more of his cover. and in a desperate move, makes a run for it. Our coyote's bad day continues. Ground squirrels are in a constant state of vigilance. One of the ground squirrel's main enemies, the eagle, can see potential prey up to almost 2 miles away. It's time to hunt. This particular ground squirrel has sparked the interest of both a bald and a golden eagle. Without much ground cover, the ground squirrel is especially vulnerable. But squirrels have to eat too. The squirrel continues eating, clueless about the danger above. As the golden eagle zeroes in on his target, the squirrel is alerted and attempts to escape. Too late. The bald eagle, seeing an opportunity, chases the victor. But the golden eagle will not easily give up her prize. The bald eagle admits defeat and flies off. After unsuccessfully searching the area for prey, our grizzly wanders off. Mama elk continues the search for her baby. A series of calls tells the calf that danger has passed. They are reunited at last and return to the herd. As summer season continues in Yellowstone National Park, so does the ebb and flow of life. An eagle brings her chick a meal. An elk protects her calf. The coyote has a successful hunt. A bear's persistence is rewarded. Throughout the park, these dramas unfold every day. And as days turn into weeks, it would seem that summer could go on forever. But with everything, change is the only constant. And soon, the lush green valleys will become dry. The rivers will flow a little less. Days will become shorter. Autumn approaches, and with it, new characters and challenges for our Yellowstone journals. Nestled deep in the Rocky Mountains of the American West is a place unlike anywhere else on the planet. Yellowstone National Park. Wild and remote, Yellowstone is one of our greatest treasures. A landscape so iconic, millions of people make the journey each year just to see its incredible beauty. But its true nature can't be seen from the roads. It takes a dedicated exploration into the park's wildest corners to witness and record its untamed nature. For years, we have been uncovering a hidden Yellowstone to record what truly makes this one of the most unique ecosystems on Earth. Join us for a multi-season exploration through the park. We'll journey deep into Yellowstone's interior, one of the harshest and most dynamic landscapes on the planet. We'll reveal a Yellowstone as poetic as it is wild, as thrilling as it is vulnerable. This is Yellowstone Journals. It's fall in Yellowstone, a season of change. The park bursts with vivid colors. Some of the residents take advantage of the few remaining lazy days they have left before the winter cold sets in, while others are beginning to challenge one another for a mate. At the south end of the park, these wetlands are home to a variety of water species. Some of these animals will migrate south for the winter, like these ducks. but many of the other wetland dwellers will stay here all winter long. To survive, they'll need to prepare for the snowy season ahead. These busy beavers use the fall to stockpile food, create pools that are too deep to freeze, and to build and fortify their dams. Beaver dams help create wetlands. They also prevent bank erosion and raise the water table. Beavers even chop down entire trees with their large teeth, which further impacts the ecosystem. Because of this, beavers are considered a keystone species, since they have a huge impact on the environment. While other residents of the park soak up the last few days of the season, these beavers stay busy preparing for the long winter ahead. Fall also ushers in the rut, the mating season for many mammals throughout the park. Like this ram, who's eager to mate. Due to the heat cycle of females, the rut is characterized by an increased sexual excitement among males. This male bighorn sheep wants a female, known as a ewe. His best strategy is to try tending, where he rounds her up and defends her from other rams vying for breeding rights. But ewes respond to strength and dominance, characteristics which this guy seems to lack at the moment. He goes off to find his mate elsewhere. This ewe watches him retreat. She's already found her match. As autumn permeates the park, leaves turn and fall. As the beaver creates vast wetlands, the moose, the largest of the deer family, thrives in them. Aquatic plants that grow here are a key food source for the moose. Moose weigh up to 1,500 pounds and tower above all others at up to 9 feet. They are solitary creatures, unlike elk and deer, which form herds as a safeguard against predators. This large bull goes off alone in search of a mate. These two young grizzlies stand up in between bites to look out for other bears that may be in the area. With winter nipping at their fur, they load up on caraway, a plant which is rich in fatty acids and nutrients. They're preparing their bodies for hibernation. They'll need to live entirely off their body fat for 5 months while they sleep in their dens high up in the mountains. But even with the shadow of winter on the horizon, they're sure to take a moment to enjoy a colorful sunset. Our ram is still on the hunt for a ewe. But so are these two. With no potential mates in sight, perhaps it's time to test his strength. During the rut, rams challenge each other for dominance. This may look like a dance, but what's happening here is fierce and dangerous. These rams are landing powerful blows. Rams have a unique ability to absorb the impact of these blows so as not to incur any brain damage. But that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Enough practice for now. It's time to find a mate. In this sunny meadow, a red fox is on the hunt. Foxes primarily eat small mammals, such as prairie dogs, mice, and rabbits, which helps keep the rodent population under control. Although they occasionally miss when they pounce, foxes are formidable hunters. Foxes have physical features that give them an evolutionary advantage. They have whiskers on their face, but also their legs, which helps them to feel their way through their environment. As fall temperatures steadily drop, rattlesnakes must make preparations of their own for the coming winter. Like all snakes, they're cold-blooded and can't regulate their own body temperature. They need other snakes to help keep them warm during the winter. A snake's tongue is used to detect particles around it, to sort of sniff its way around. This can help it find prey, and in this case, a snake pit where other snakes are gathered. Once inside, the snakes enter a hibernation-like state where their energy and metabolism slows down. These rattlesnakes will wait out the long winter in these dens, and then, when temperatures rise, they'll all go their separate ways. But be warned, these rattlesnakes will strike at anything that doesn't heed their signature rattling. In the heart of the park, the bison rut is the most violent. This bull rolls on the ground to leave its scent and to display its strength. Other bulls square off in the middle of the herd. But unlike rams, these bulls aren't trying to drive off other bulls. Their goal is to rise in social status by challenging and besting the biggest bulls in the herd. The higher the status, the more females a bull can tend. After sparring with a couple of fellow wanderers, our indomitable ram is back, still searching for his ewe. He sees one. Now all he has to do is reach her. Let the tending begin. Rocky cliffs like this are actually easy for bighorn sheep to navigate. Sheep are very agile climbers, second only to the mountain goat. It would seem he's in the clear. But wait, a challenger appears on the horizon. That's approximately 300 pounds of ram. colliding with 300 pounds of ram. Throughout the fight, he continues to tend to the ewe. Battles like this can last days if the rams are well matched. These two are well matched. Our ram finally defeats his challenger. Together at last. With fall comes the purging of the old and promise of the future. Whether it's a long sleep, the continuation of your species, or business as usual, each of Yellowstone's residents have unique ways of saying goodbye to the warmth and welcoming the cold. Nestled deep in the Rocky Mountains of the American West is a place unlike anywhere else on the planet. Yellowstone National Park. Wild and remote, Yellowstone is one of our greatest treasures. A landscape so iconic, millions of people make the journey each year just to see its incredible beauty. But its true nature can't be seen from the roads. It takes a dedicated exploration into the park's wildest corners to witness and record its untamed nature. For years, we have been uncovering a hidden Yellowstone to record what truly makes this one of the most unique ecosystems on Earth. Join us for a multi-season exploration through the park. We'll journey deep into Yellowstone's interior, one of the harshest and most dynamic landscapes on the planet. We'll reveal a Yellowstone as poetic as it is wild, as thrilling as it is vulnerable. his Yellowstone journals. Winter is by far the longest season in the park, as well as its cruelest. With daily temperatures that rarely rise above freezing, it's cold. Only the toughest survive. Like this bighorn sheep. A fully grown ram's horns weigh more than the rest of his bones combined. It takes 2 to 3 years for bighorn sheep to fully develop these big, curved horns. As the rut continues on into early winter, one can still hear the mighty clashes of males fighting for dominance. When it comes to toughness, nothing beats the American bison. These beasts are built for this kind of weather. An adult bison can weigh up to 2,000 pounds, generating a ton of metabolic heat. A dense woolly undercoat keeps that heat trapped inside. To fuel all of that bulk, they can consume 24 pounds of grass each day. Using powerful muscles in their hump, they plow through the snow with their giant heads, exposing the grass. Their thick skin and multiple layers of fat help insulate them against the cold. And long guard hairs wick away moisture and help break the wind. These beasts have everything they need to survive the Yellowstone winter. Of the park's winter residents, wolves are at the top of the food chain. This wolf howls to his fellows, signaling that it's time to move out. Wolves will feed on bison when they can, but bison are strong and powerful and have a tendency to fight back. The pack sets off into the frozen unknown instead, in search of easier prey. This mountain lion family has been waiting out the storm all day. Mountain lions are shy and elusive. They prefer to move at night. These cubs will be in her care until they reach roughly 2 years of age. In that time, she'll teach them everything she knows about how to survive. The winter storm has passed, and it's nighttime in the park. Mom and the cubs emerge from their den. These cubs are 6 months old, still too young to go hunt with Mom. So she goes hunting on her own, caches her kill, then comes back to her cubs and leads them to dinner. A small deer like this will feed the family for 2 to 3 days. They'll eat, play, and nap throughout the night. When dawn arrives, they'll head back to the safety of their den. Mom will start taking them out on hunts at around 1 year of age. These 2 coyotes scavenge the remains of a young bison. But with its death comes much-needed food for the scavenging residents of Yellowstone. Opportunistic ravens constantly test the patience of coyotes as they try to sneak as much food as they are able. With such a bountiful feast in front of him, this coyote isn't going anywhere. This clever little fox is going to see if this coyote is in a sharing mood. So he waits. And waits. And waits. Finally, the coyote steps away, and the little fox makes his move. The coyote makes it obvious that the meal is his by marking the area. And returns hastily to continue gorging. This little fox will have to work harder for his dinner. Though foxes are related to wolves and coyotes, they tend to have more in common with cats. They're solitary, active at night, and walk on their toes, which gives them an elegant cat-like gait. Their ears are especially sensitive to low frequencies and can hear animals beneath the snow. They also have a hunting style similar to cats, slowly stalking their prey until they get within striking distance. This makes them excellent hunters and also quite entertaining. Winter has settled over the park as far as the eye can see. Various herds roam the terrain, always in search of food. A large pack of wolves travel across the landscape. Wolves can cover up to 30 miles a day in search of food. Wolves and bison cross paths often in Yellowstone, but only if there's a sick or vulnerable bison within the herd will wolves engage. A dominant alpha male and female lead them. The alphas mate for life and are the pack's only breeding pair. The rest of the pack consists of either their offspring or siblings. Nearby, our coyote still gnaws on his prized piece of carcass. Coyotes have a remarkable sense of smell, sight, and hearing. He knows immediately that something is near. As one of the wolves approach, our coyote leaves without a fight. He's no match for a wolf, who's nearly twice his size. Wolves were eradicated from the park in the early 1900s. They were reintroduced in 1995 and have thrived ever since. Their influence on the park has reshaped everything, from the shoreline of riverbanks to an increase of birds of prey and to healthier herds of elk and bison. The alpha she-wolf carries back a chunk of meat to share with the pack. It's not a total loss for the coyote, though. He manages to sneak off with a small piece of meat to enjoy elsewhere. The pack shares this newly found meal with one another. Wolf packs are highly social communities with very strict hierarchies. A new addition to the pack gets a little greedy and runs away with a large chunk of meat, his tail tucked between his legs in a show of submissive rebellion. This act is not forgotten, as another wolf has caught up with him and asserts his dominance. Soon, another wolf joins in. They nip and snap at him. He shows submission, but lightly fights back. More wolves join in. Wolves will do this to test one another and secure their place within the pack. This hazing will continue until the wolf has either been fully accepted or rejected from the pack. The brutality of winter is a challenge for even the most hardy of beasts. Whether it's finding food, being accepted into a community, or just staying warm enough to survive the day. The residents of Yellowstone are well adapted to these challenges. Nestled deep in the Rocky Mountains of the American West is a place unlike anywhere else on the planet. Yellowstone National Park. Wild and remote, Yellowstone is one of our greatest treasures. A landscape so iconic, millions of people make the journey each year just to see its incredible beauty. But its true nature can't be seen from the roads. It takes a dedicated exploration into the park's wildest corners to witness and record its untamed nature. For years, we have been uncovering a hidden Yellowstone to record what truly makes this one of the most unique ecosystems on Earth. Join us for a multi-season exploration through the park. We'll journey deep into Yellowstone's interior, one of the harshest and most dynamic landscapes on the planet. We'll reveal a Yellowstone as poetic as it is wild, as thrilling as it is vulnerable. This is Yellowstone Journals. Winter slowly releases its cold grasp on Yellowstone. But at an average elevation of 8,000 feet, spring takes its time to arrive. The sun melts the ice and snow, waking Yellowstone from its deep winter slumber, bringing the park to life. A coyote soaks up the warmth of the sun's rays, ears perking up at the sound of cracking ice. He's not the only one who hears it. His pack is eager and excited. They know that from the ice, more food will emerge, and they start to move as a pack to see where the ice has melted. This pack has caught a scent in the distance. Although they prefer fresh meat, they'll welcome the opportunity to scavenge, often traveling between 3 and 10 miles per day in search of food. They frequently use iced-over rivers as travel routes, which can be difficult to cross once the ice begins to melt. With the sun warming the landscape for the first time in months, they take some time to play. With the melt comes moving water, and with water comes an abundance of food for all living things in Yellowstone. Waterfalls push tons and tons of water through the park, ushering in the elixir of life to an entire ecosystem. This male hawk returns to the park after a long winter migration. On a high-up branch, his female companion waits patiently for him to return. With the melt comes breeding season. The breeding season runs from late February all the way through March. Red-tailed hawks are often separated from their mates during migration, but they will always return to the same territory to reunite with each other. They'll only take a new mate when one of them dies. For this couple, copulation only lasts 5 to 10 seconds, but they will mate several more times per day throughout the breeding season. The male will help her build their nest high up in this tree, but the primary responsibility of incubating the eggs will fall on the female. We'll give these two lovebirds some privacy. As the park thaws, the grizzlies come out of hibernation. After 5 to 7 months in their den, they're looking for a much-needed meal. Grizzlies have an exceptional sense of smell. This guy has caught a whiff of something from a nearby pond. There's something in there, and he's determined to get it. A juvenile bald eagle flies in to investigate. It's common for larger animals to fall through the ice during the winter, which makes for an easy first meal of the new year. With this kind of prize, he won't be dining alone. Scavengers are always present, and all they need to do is wait. Three deep canyons are located in the park. Their walls forged from volcanic tuff, making them vulnerable to breakage and decay, especially as the ice melts. It's here that we find a raven's nest, tucked in on the canyon wall. The high location keeps the chicks safe from predators, but the rocks and the swift river below make for a precarious situation. Foraging for food nearby, the mama raven is alerted by the chirps of her chicks. The raven is one of the most intelligent creatures in the animal kingdom, sharing the mantle with chimpanzees and dolphins. It'll take both mom and dad to keep these chicks safe, fed, and warm. After only 1 week, the chicks' feathers have begun to fill out. As the chicks continue to grow, so too does their demand for food. The raven mom and dad stay busy as they forage and hunt for food nearby. They keep a watchful eye on the nest, on the lookout for any approaching predators. Mama raven will aggressively defend their territory and its food resources if necessary. Our coyotes have followed their noses to the grizzly. The coyotes sneak closer, testing the temperament of the grizzly. This meal won't be easily taken. To hide its scent, the grizzly begins to cache it, covering it with grass, as well as his own scent. He's not sharing this meal with any other animal. With his meals sufficiently cached, he's had his fill for the moment and moves on. The hungry coyotes waste no time and move in for the hidden scraps. With the unpredictability of the spring weather comes the harsh reality that survival in Yellowstone is still difficult. This elk has been separated from its herd. That's not a good sign. The presence of magpies is a further indication that this elk is suffering. The magpie is another highly intelligent bird and can sense that this elk isn't well. Over the winter, the scarcity of food tests all animals, and unfortunately, this elk may not have been up to the challenge. The herd is close, but they too can sense that their companion isn't well, and they keep their distance. It's only a matter of time before the magpie has more to eat than the flies and ticks off this elk's back. As the icicles melt and the waters rise, life continues to perk up in the park. No creature better embodies this perkiness than the playful river otter. 3 otters emerge from their den. They lumber toward the water without a care in the world. Otters are impervious to the frigid water because they are protected and insulated by a thick, water-repellent coat of fur. Their nostrils and ears close during submersion, which keeps water out. A human would become hyperthermic in a matter of minutes in this water. But these otters can stay warm all day. The life of a river otter is surprisingly simple. They hunt, swim, build their habitat, and play together. As the weather changes and new growth emerges, predators are on the prowl for new prey. This mountain lion senses something nearby. The elk was unable to survive, and more magpies have gathered to scavenge on its remains. A mountain lion will not share a kill with anyone, much less a pesky magpie. It's rare that a mountain lion will scavenge on a kill, but if it is desperate enough, it will gladly usurp a fresh carcass. Upon sniffing the elk, the lion determines that the meat here is too old and spoiled. With one last look, he leaves it for the scavengers to feast upon and goes off in search of his own hunting opportunity. It's a good day to be a magpie. Back at the raven's nest, the chicks have almost outgrown the nest. There's barely enough room for them all. Our raven chicks are big and healthy, and Mom still watches over them. Soon it will be time to learn to fly. As the snow melts, the rivers swell. The water's shed flows down from the mountain, and as the volume increases, the water rushes even faster. Migrating herds must face the raging rivers as they continue moving across the lands. Bison are big and heavy, often weighing up to 2,000 pounds. They can move across the powerful river with greater ease than many of the smaller animals, but it's still a challenge. Deer have a much greater challenge. Their small frame and lighter weight make them more susceptible to being swept away in the current. This herd flounders in the rapids. Most of them make it across to the other side, but some get swept away. And this makes them more vulnerable once they've been separated from their herd. Tragedy has hit our raven family. A spring storm washed their nest away, forcing them to learn to fly early. Most of them made it, but one was too slow. Instincts have taken over, and Mama Raven begins to rebuild the nest as quickly as possible. The longer her chicks are on the ground, the more likely they are to be set upon by a predator. It's up to Mom to save the day and protect the rest of her family. Our injured chick has succumbed to her injuries. But with a dedicated mother, the other chick's chances for survival are good. Nearby, our female red-tailed hawk builds her nest as a result of a successful breeding with her mate. She will usually have a clutch of between 1 to 3 eggs. The eggs will incubate between 28 and 35 days, and then hatch over 2 to 4 days. They'll leave the nest completely after 4 months. As the melt continues, new life and warm days approach. For with spring comes the promise of food, life, and community. Nestled deep in the Rocky Mountains of the American West is a place unlike anywhere else on the planet. Yellowstone National Park. Wild and remote, Yellowstone is one of our greatest treasures. A landscape so iconic, millions of people make the journey each year just to see its incredible beauty. But its true nature can't be seen from the roads. It takes a dedicated exploration into the park's wildest corners to witness and record its untamed nature. For years, we have been uncovering a hidden Yellowstone to record what truly makes this one of the most unique ecosystems on Earth. Join us for a multi-season exploration through the park. We'll journey deep into Yellowstone's interior, one of the harshest and most dynamic landscapes on the planet. We'll reveal a Yellowstone as poetic as it is wild, as thrilling as it is vulnerable. This is Yellowstone Journals. It's spring in Yellowstone, and the warmth of the sun brings new life and energy to the park. Bears come out of hiding, searching for food. And babies of all shapes and sizes explore their incredible new world. Every resident is eager to enjoy the warmth of the new season. It's a magical time, full of promise. A pair of osprey return from their southern migration. Ospreys will often return to their same nest year after year. And it would seem that this nest is in need of repair. The male gathers the nesting materials by diving down to dead trees and snapping off branches in mid-flight. Then he delivers them to the female, who weaves the sticks together and arranges them. osprey nests are huge and bulky, in part because they're used year after year. They can end up being over 10 feet deep and 6 feet wide as more materials are added each season. This bird is massive, with a 4-foot wingspan. Their nest needs to be sturdy and strong to support both the chicks and the parents. In the spring, elk migrate to higher grounds to find new plants exposed by the newly melted snow. This herd finds some of the last remaining snowfields on the north face of a mountain. A young cow elk breaks from the crowd for a little cooling down fun. Ah, nature's air conditioner. Elk will also seek out these fields for relief from the summer bugs. This lone wolf goes out in search of prey and a bath. Wolves don't last long without a pack, so finding any kind of food is of utmost importance. Without a pack, a wolf knows better than to bother an adult bison, so he moves on. As the spring sun warms the park, this mother golden eagle warms her egg. She and her partner mate for life, and he goes off hunting to bring back food for the family. He'll do this the entire 6 weeks of incubation, occasionally subbing in for her so that she has a chance to stretch her wings. Over the winter, this mama grizzly had 2 little cubs. These cubs are seeing the world for the first time. Moms brought them to this open area to feast on roots and berries. A cow elk wanders up. The cubs have never seen anything like it. Still, a little unbalanced on their feet, they stand to get a good look at this strange visitor. The elk warily watches the bear family as she makes her way toward her herd. Bear cubs will play with each other under the watchful eye of their mother. This play fighting is very important for young bears because it teaches them to protect themselves and helps them get stronger for the challenges ahead. This great horned owl is just minding its own business. But wait, some magpies seem to be harassing it. Or is it the other way around? When predators encroach on other birds' territory, the birds will make alarm calls and pester it. This is called mobbing behavior, which notifies all of the surrounding animals that a predator is nearby. All this commotion has also attracted a kestrel, a small raptor. The owl has trespassed on his territory. But the owl still stands her ground. Finally, her chick appears. Mom was just waiting for her baby. Time to leave these pesky birds alone. Out in the open plains, these bison graze and keep their young close. Power in numbers is the best way to protect their young against any potential predator. Bison are always on the move, looking for fresh grass. A large wolf pack wanders the meadow, always in search of easy prey. These little bison calves would be a fine meal. Alerted by the pack, the bison take a defensive approach and attempt to leave. But the wolves call to each other and begin to surround the herd. The bison employ the circle defense, huddling together in a tight circle. The female will circle the young calves, and the males will circle them. They then turn and face their attackers. The larger bulls charge at the wolves. This bison herd is strong, and they successfully deter the wolf attack. A spring storm moves in, and the residents of Yellowstone seek shelter. But there's no shelter for this eagle mother. She must keep her egg warm to ensure her offspring's survival. A mother pronghorn tends to her babies. Pronghorn are the fastest land mammals in North America almost as fast as a cheetah. Newborn pronghorns can walk within 30 minutes of being born and outrun humans within 4 days. By week 1, they can outrun a horse. Jumping and playing like this helps to develop their legs and balance. This mother keeps a keen eye out for predators. The spring storm has passed, and this eagle has been rewarded for her efforts. A little golden chick peeks out of the nest. This chick will need to be thermoregulated by its parents until it's roughly 20 days old. But now, there's another mouth to feed. These 3 bears are siblings. Having recently been kicked out by mom, they are now on their own, but still too young and inexperienced to leave each other. For the next year or 2, they will curiously explore their world together, look for food, and of course, play. This is a tough and trying time, and staying together will help ensure their survival until they are ready to take the final step into adulthood. A sow and her 2 yearling cubs appear on the ridge. They're heading to the same area to forage for the first shoots of vegetation that have been uncovered by the melting snow. They see and smell evidence of the siblings. The 3 siblings see the new group, and in their first moments without mom's protection, are not taking any chances. They scamper up the hill away from the newcomers. But the 2 yearlings are curious and chase the 3 up the hill. This is just one of many interactions that young bears will have as they grow and learn. Within 20 days, the chick has started standing. It's growing up fast. The parents will continue to work together to find food for the entire family. Our lone wolf has caught the scent of 2 elk grazing nearby. In a fit of desperation, he takes chase. Without a strategic hunting offense that a pack would provide, his only chance is to tire them out. He chases them to the edge of the park, and they reunite with their herd. There are too many targets, and they have energy to spare. And he has managed to tire himself out instead. Spring in the park is a time of new beginnings, but it's also a time of great danger. The promise of a better tomorrow applies only to those who survive today. We have seen Yellowstone National Park through the summer, fall, winter, and spring. Each season presents its own struggles and triumphs. In this relatively small area, a great many species are able to live as they have over the millennia. Yellowstone, an island of wild in a civilized world. Throughout our journals, we've documented the great and the small, predator and prey, life and death. Few factors have such influence over all of this than the seasonal changes that help shape the behavior of the park's residents, as well as the landscape itself. More than anything else, these influences are what drive movement, choice, habit, and evolution. In this episode, we revisit some of the key moments of our journals while exploring the season's influences on this wild place. Halfway between the North Pole and the equator, Yellowstone is a clash of extremes. With the frigid winter season comes the most desperate of times. Food is scarce. Predator and prey alike scrounge for anything that will keep them alive. With the sun comes a partial relief from the bitter cold. Over time, bison and wolf have developed tools and strategies to combat the seemingly endless winter. With the bison, power. With the wolf, cooperation. Cooperation to hunt powerful beasts. Sometimes it is the hunter that wins. More often than not, it is the bison that stands triumphant. When food is found, cooperation within a pack can give in to conflict. With food so scarce and an appetite that requires daily attention, the grizzly has evolved to sleep for 5 to 6 months. As winter wanes, the grizzly emerges from his den, and there's nothing on his mind but nourishment. A greedy appetite begets an intolerant demeanor. But when his belly can hold no more, there are always scavengers around to finish off the leftovers. In spring, high in the mountains, snow melts, and gravity forces the water down, carving through rock, digging deep into mountains, creating the river valleys that soon will be alive with thousands of creatures. In the summer, the fullness of life is on vivid display. But with life comes conflict. As summer continues, competition for food is ever present. The landscape begins to dry up. Rainfall is scarce, and the conditions are ripe for one of the most destructive forces in nature. But as the hillsides burn, they are also filled with the thundering sound of battles. Battles that will decide who gets to carry on their species. The rains come, extinguishing the fires, leaving a patchwork of scars throughout the park. But what was once thought as pointless destruction will now make room for new life. In fall, daylight diminishes. The inevitable promise of winter sparks self-preservation, and the pursuit of a mate becomes paramount. snow begins to fall again. This relentless cycle of life and death is neither still nor silent. It echoes with violence and suffering, promise and hope. But year after year, a paradise called Yellowstone awaits those with the capacity to adapt and endure Mother Nature. And this is their story.